Welcome to the RePsychled podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall.
Welcome back to session 135, Movie Mental Breakdown. Today's movie is Low Down Dirty Shame, 1994. The mood music is Shame by Johnny. Yes. Okay. So we're just gonna jump and dive right into it. So, of course, marquee person is Keenen Ivory Wayans, who plays Shame. Peaches is played by Jada Pinkett Smith. Salli Richardson plays Angela. Andrew Divoff, I'm not sure how you say that, plays Mendoza. Sonny, but on the credits, he had a different name in the credits. It was like Rinkenoff or something like that. Roth Miller. It's his last name. I was like, in the credits, I was like, he had a different name in the credits, but he went by Sonny in the movie. Was played by Charles S. Dutton. Wayman was played by Corwin Hawkins. And then we have some honorable mentions in here. Diane was played by, what is the sister's name? Kim Wayans. Kim. I was going to say Crystal, and I was like, nope, that's not right. Kim Wayans. And then Gregory Sierra. Thank you. He's playing Captain Nunez. So then we got, of course, some side characters in there, but those are the main people that got lines. Yes. In the film. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I figured we probably do this one a little bit differently than we've done some of the other ones, because there's a lot of tiny little scenes in this movie, and it will take us forever to go scene by scene. So just thinking about, the general premise of this movie, right? So we've got Shame, who is a former cop who has been let go from the force, LAPD, and is now a private investigator who seemed to be down on his luck and not really doing great in the private investigation game. And it's him and Peaches doing they thug thizzle, literally. Trying to get that shmoney, and I guess they do all right. So he's presented with an idea from, his former boss. I don't know what, I guess. I can't remember what role he was. I was like, I don't know what equals or not. Yeah, so at this point, he's progressed. Yeah, so Sonny has presented him with an offer for a large payout. And, of course, it's an offer he cannot refuse because it's, worth a lot of money, and get him some of his notoriety back. And revenge on Mendoza. And he played him as he was talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, he was so slimy. Mm-hmm. He was. So that is... And of course, hijinks ensue. It's a movie. So, it's always going to be things that happen throughout. But that's the basic premise of the movie. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we start off with, he is going on his first kind of before Sonny introduces himself into into everything and presents him with this offer. But, he's doing some sort of diamond heist kind of deal. And you get to see him and Peaches in their element and how they work together and, get the thing going. When I was watching this, I was like, there's really not a whole lot of mental health stuff. So let me just say, for the movie overall, I was like, there's not really a lot of mental health stuff in this film. At a base level, there's some kind of No, I think you have to look at it more so from the perspective of, what people were dealing with in the movie, more so him grieving the position he had and his fallen comrades, police officer, you have to think of it in a different perspective, because when you look at a lot of Black films, we're going to operate how we operate in the real world, and you're not really going to see a whole lot of difference.
You know what I mean?
And you have to look at Peaches. She was 16 years old and she was arrested. Now she's working for a cop. The cop that arrested her.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I have several thoughts about.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I was thinking about just in the opening scene, not that we're gonna again go scene by scene, but one thing that I did write in here was about the expectation of privacy and how she was just opening up, housekeeping, opening the door, and not
waiting for them to say come in or not come in.
Right. And how that could turn out really bad for a person because there is an expectation of privacy when you are in a hotel type of setting. Like, this is a room that I've paid for. And even if you are housekeeping, like, you have to give me time to respond and say no, especially some of the things that she saw.
And she saw a lot.
Right. Because I was wondering, like, dude was on the commode. Like, I've never been in a hotel where the bathroom is just like, right, the toilet is just right there when you open the door. Nor have I been in the room where the bed is just right there. Like, you might see the foot part, but not, a whole thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it was funny. So I'm not gonna say it wasn't funny, but I was just like, so you just violating people's privacy just left and right. Just opening and don't care. Don't care.
And got comments to say out loud. Like, that wasn't in your head, ma'am.
No, that's the 22-year-old. Right.
Yeah.
That impulsivity. But I was like, okay, girl. But this is, she keeps the same energy throughout the film. Yeah. So that I do like about her, that she doesn't really switch it up. She is who she is. Take it or leave it. Yeah. Kind of thing. So, one of the other things that I was kind of thinking about in this movie was, just the idea of, so in particular for Peaches, right, that she kind of lives in almost like a fantasy kind of world.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if that was just because she's young, she's 22, 23.
She's 22
in the film. But, when she thought the guy from As the Heart Turns was like, you went up to this man like he's the real person and like punched him in the face and did all this extra stuff, and it's like that's not real, girl.
But them soaps had people in a chokehold back in the day.
They did.
These people were real.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie,
that was your real life.
Yeah, I got a little choked up the other day or the other month when Stefano died. I mean, that's not his real name, but he's an Aniston. The point is, Stefano died, And I was like, it's like, where's the villain? Yeah, I need the villain to come back. But people was really out there doing crazy stuff like that. Yeah, and I get that, because I've seen memes before where people say like, what's a role that an actor played so well that you no longer, like them or have respect for them. So I totally get it that you would, feel some kind of way. But just thinking like, again, you went up to this man and punched him in the face.
And I was like,
with no consequences.
Right. And I was, when I saw that part, of course, I was like, at least she communicated. I mean, after she did communicate. You better watch your back. That's my favorite part.
In this movie, I just kept thinking, like, she is so small. She is so small.
Like a baby doll.
Like, compared to everybody in the film. Every single person.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, she was she's petite. Yeah, and slender. Yeah, like I was like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, she still is today. But
I think she's only like 5'1" or something at the tallest.
Wow.
The way he picked her up, it didn't seem like it.
The other thing that I thought about this movie was how people, kind of diffuse situations. And something that I kind of noticed with Shane is that he uses humor to diffuse emotional energy. And I'm not, cause some people use self-degrading humor, right? Yeah. They tear themselves down to lighten the mood or, like again, diffuse energy. But his seems more like external.
Yeah. He keeps people away from him, but I think that's part of his story arc or the hero arc that he goes on. He
had this family and he takes responsibility at this stage for getting them unalived. And that has impacted him. And like, I can't bring anybody else closer. The only person that's close to him is Peaches, and she was already in his life when that situation happened. You know, so I think that's part of it. And it's like, let me use my humor to kind of keep you there, but it's still kiki funny.
So I saw it both ways. I saw the humor, but I also saw, like, once Peaches called him out, like when she said, "Can't you be serious for one time," or whatever she said. And then, so it was like he took a step back and it was like, "I noticed you," or you know what I mean? And went through his process. It's almost like he has to go through a process, starting with the comedy and then, okay, I can bring it back and actually tell you what's going on with me.
And I think you see that throughout the movie. Like, even when the movie opens and he's looking at the different articles and he ends up burning them, you know, that's a cathartic practice that a lot of people participate in. But also you have the original Shame song in the beginning. And then at the end you have the new revised version by Janae. You know what I mean? So you see kind of that arc in different ways.
Absolutely. And I think for this is also art imitating life, right? Because if you know anything about the Wayans, you know, they've talked before about, you know, their childhood, and, you know, there's a lot of them, and, you know, kind of what struggles they had growing up. And humor is a way to, again, that some people use to deal with trauma. And they're an extremely funny family, so I can only imagine.
Like multiple
even their second and third generations are coming up. I saw one of the nieces or whatever, cousins or whatever, doing a stand-up literally the other day talking about, I'm on the poor side of the Wayans. I didn't get none of that. I went to the castle, then I went back to the projects, and I was like, I'm glad to see that, you know, that humor is pressing on, because I can only imagine how difficult it was for their mother and father to raise 10 children.
And I had never seen Keenen in stand-up, and I finally saw him in one. I was like, "You're funny."
I didn't know he did stand-up.
I didn't either.
But, you know, those were the times of really not filming a lot of stuff, and then he went into Big Brother producer shows and kind of the movies.
Yeah, makes sense. Another thing that I had kind of noticed in the film, and I was like, I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive on that, but I was thinking there was like reaction formation in there, like how the dynamic between Peaches and Shame. You know, that whole, so those of you that don't know what reaction formation, it is a defense mechanism. So it's basically when people say, well, he hit you, so that means he likes you. So you essentially do the opposite of the feeling that you actually have. So if I like you, I'm going to be mean to you. So that was something that I kind of noticed in the film as well, like how their dynamic, that they have this rough play with one another, but they really do, eventually we learn, have much deeper feelings for one another.
And I think the thing is, because she didn't really share how she felt until she was cleaning his face when he got a beat down. So I'm wondering, like, if some of that reaction formation was because it was tension of some sort and they didn't know what it was. Well, she probably knew, but he probably didn't know. Because it seemed like he was trying to keep his distance. Because she was, apparently when he arrested her or when he met her, she was 16. So she was probably underage.
Yes. And I don't think, based off of what we see, because I'm only going to go off of what we see because I don't want my mind to wander too far. I don't even think he was looking at her like that in the beginning. He was like, you were stuffing CDs down your drawers. Get your life together, you know? And you can tell, at least I could tell, that he had kind of taken on a big brother role, trying to, you know, you need to finish school, you need to learn these classes, you know, self-defense and all these other types of things, because we're not doing this. And those are the type of cops and police officers that you want in those neighborhoods, you know, building up the community instead of, tearing it down or dividing it more than it already is. Yeah.
I can agree with that. It still was a little skating the edge for me. Just because of the continuous mentioning of her being 16 when they met, and we have no idea how old he was.
He was a cop, so he was a grown man.
Right,
So probably mid-20s.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, y'all keep mentioning the fact that she was 16. And I agree. I do think that, he had a little bit of a big brother role. But
Plus he was with the girl, Angela.
Angela, right. But it's just like the way in which they wrote it. And now this is 2023 eyes looking back on 1994 eyes, right?
So it would have been totally different.
Right.
But,
So I want to keep it in context as well. So I don't want to take this film out of its day. But it is a little, it's towing. It's right there.
there's other dynamics. She works for you. It's a power dynamic. It's a, almost an idolization. You pulled me up out of a situation. Yeah, so I can see how this could end up being a bad situation if it wasn't Peaches. Because I feel like Peaches would be done mollywopped him.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Something else that I was thinking about, now while Sonny, eventually was low down dirty in the same part, I did like the one scene where he was really getting on to Shame about, essentially you cannot wallow in self-pity, you need in this self-loathing, you really need to get your stuff together and get out there.
Dress for the occasion.
Right. You've been in this place for too long. Come on, I need you to do better. And I was thinking, sometimes you do need that person, that voice of reason, that person to, be straight up with you and kind of tell you about yourself.
Wake up call.
Right.
Yeah, so I can see that, but I also felt because he was slimy, and maybe it's because I already knew he was slimy, I felt like he was trying to manipulate him because one, y'all didn't have that relationship anymore because he hadn't seen you in a while. So for you to just come off the gate like that, I was like, I feel like you slimy. I don't like it. Now, had it been one of us, because we see each other every day, we say that to each other, it's a different thing because we see each other every day. I'm not trying to be malicious. I know y'all not trying to be malicious. It would be different. It would be a motivational speech.
Yeah, I think, but you also have to look at the fact that Shame was so excited to see him, so you can tell that it was no love lost between the two. And guys function differently. Yeah. But you slapped me in my mouth the other day, I'm fine. I'd be like, you put your hands on me, you must go. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think we have to think of it from the male perspective too when it comes to the relationship. He's just like, you're the one that made it out of the other 5 that didn't.
Yeah. Oh, 100% agree. And when I was also thinking about the dynamic with him and Mendoza, this whole cat and mouse, you're the one that got away. But that they have also a very tight dynamic as well on a different end. But there is a relationship there on I've been trying to take you down. I took your girl.
Yep.
And didn't know about it at first.
Didn't know about it at first, but I know about it now.
Yeah, and something that wasn't clear was how much did they infiltrate? Was everybody infiltrating it? And everybody was playing part of that world, which would mean they were all in it. Or, were some of them on the outside? But the way they kind of describe it, it seems like everybody was part of that world. And then Sonny or Rothmiller gave up the information, and that's what changed everything.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting to pick Keenen Ivory Wayans' brain.
Hey, I would love to. Okay. He's going to be like, this movie is almost 30 years old. What are you talking about?
I know.
It'll be okay.
I cannot remember why I wrote that.
Okay. Like, just watch it and enjoy.
Right.
Yeah. Sidebar. I definitely can see the age of this film because all of the moves are super slow.
I'm like, are you waiting? Okay, you're waiting.
Yeah.
The actual move was good. It just was not natural.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, because that fight between Mendoza and Shane, and he put his arm behind him and then came. I was like, that was, he could have hit you like 4 times by now, sir.
There were several things I was like,
no John Wick.
Right? Because I was like, the fight scenes are so slow.
Slow-mo.
But again, I'm trying to keep it in context that this was 1994. Right. Because you're right, this ain't no John Wick. It would have been much more fluid, or even Jackie Chan, much more fluid and quick. Sorry, I know that was a sidebar, but I just saw my little note in here about how it was driving me insane.
The choreography was great, so don't get us wrong. It's just so dang slow.
I agree, 100%. And I don't know if this is because of, the TikTok, social media brain, where everything is, you're only getting at about 15 seconds, and my brain is like, oh, God, scroll.
But I think you have to look at it also, like our favorite movie. He was getting it.
He was.
We're not going to say it because we're going to review it.
There's slow motion in there too, though.
But for a specific purpose. You know what I mean? And so that movie came out 10 years before this movie came out. So it was them.
True.
It was them.
Look, again, the choreography was on point. The stunt coordinator did their thing. We just need the pace to pick up here. Because I was like, this movie could have been like 45 minutes. Like, come on now.
It was like the Matrix slow down.
Yeah.
And it was speed up.
And then had the nerve to have slow-mo on a couple of them. I was like, oh, Lord, help me, Jesus. Like I said, sidebar. But, the other thing that I was thinking about was in reference to Angela and how she... how she came into play in all of this.
And I like Salli Richardson, but Angela's about to get these hands.
Yeah.
She was a lot.
Yeah, you could tell she was getting ready to start some mess with Peaches. And I couldn't tell, like, if you was just starting some mess because you just messy or you were trying to leave and you knew that was your opportunity to get out the door.
All of the above.
Yeah. Or if you were jealous.
Right. Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Because, they both either have had a thing with Shane or have a thing for Shane.
Yeah.
And, while I don't like that they played up the
color. I don't say the colorism.
Oh, well, no, I was not going there.
Oh, okay.
But please elaborate. But what I was going to say, I don't particularly like that they played up the, like, fighting for a man type of scenario. Not that women don't, because it definitely happens. But I hate that, sometimes you can tell a film is written by a man.
Yeah. What I do like about it, though, is that you can tell that Angela is fighting for a man.
That's
and Peaches is fighting, you better not hurt him and you disrespecting us.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that part versus it being fighting over him.
I would agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But I definitely think here it becomes very clear, if it wasn't already, how Peaches feels about him.
Oh, yeah.
And how much he, actually means to her and what she's willing to put up with and do.
Yeah.
She's also a ride or die.
With sense. With sense.
I think she's a ride or die because she thinks she bad too.
She is.
We didn't know it.
To the very end.
Yeah, I agree. But she's definitely giving ride or die vibes.
Yeah. And it makes sense for probably the lifestyle she lived.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And she has a hero complex when it comes to him. So of course she's gonna rescue him, ride or die with, because he saved her life, saved her from the streets.
Oh yeah, 100%. But you got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
So we got to talk about the Wayman.
Oh yeah,
bed scene.
Man, stuff just doesn't age well.
Yeah, I was like,
you gotta love the 90s. It was a different time. But I mean, I still thought it was funny though.
Yes.
I think funny is going to always be funny, even if it's offensive. Decades later, funny is always going to be funny. And shout out to Corwin Hawkins, because he is no longer living. He died a few years after this film was actually made. So shout out to him. But I thought, Peaches, you wrong for that, for setting him on
right. And the thing about it is, I'm like, Shane, why didn't you hear? Well, you did hear her say, but you thought it was a woman, because she said my roommate is going to be back home later.
But he asked, "Is that going to be a problem?"
He did,
and she said, "No, she fine girlfriend or whatever."
The last thing girlfriend is going to worry about is a man being in her bed.
Exactly. I said, which all of those things was true. Because he was definitely okay.
Right.
Until he got a gun pulled on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he said, "You better show me some tits," or I'm
I was like,
I don't know if you're going to do that, bro.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
And the part where they was at breakfast and he was just like, look.
I'm like, why are you mad at him?
Because you want some sausage. No beef for us. I hate cooking with me. Yeah, I love Wayman. I love the character.
I did too.
That makes me, and later on in the scene when Shane was at the spa or whatnot, one of the things that I wrote in my notes was that, and it was later said, which I was like, glad it was confirmed, that Shane tends to use people to get what he wants. Yeah, he definitely does. Because I was like, there was no reason for you to pretend to be this man's boyfriend, but you could have, it didn't, but you could have ended that man's relationship.
Right.
He don't know who you are, and then here you come talking about this my man and and I'd be like, wait, hold on, we got a problem now. Like, what you talking about? This your man,
right?
Got to fight now. And not only how you gonna Wayman ask me to come up here, likely, and visit you, and then you got your other dude up here,
right? And Shane, how you gonna ask me to do you a favor and you was just mad at me because you sleeping in my bed?
The way he walked off, like.
Cracks me up every time.
I'm like,
me too.
That's why I was like, yeah, that was slimy.
Yeah, it was.
And then somebody, I can't remember who said it later. I think it was Peaches. Later said that you're always using people to get what you want.
I know Angela said that when they was in the bedroom because that's why she left. She said something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know a situation popped up when he needed that mail. And yes, all of that, and lied and was like, no.
Girl, when he set that girl back up with that mailman, I was like, oh, you're so wrong for that.
Look, he does the most. But, I think underneath it all, Shane is... He's a pretty good dude, underneath it all. Of course, he has flaws like all of us do.
Yeah.
But, there's some things that you got to watch out for. Because if you continue using that pattern, like using people to get to some sort of end goal, eventually you'll find yourself alone. Because people are only going to take that so much and so often.
But see, I wonder if that's a skill that detectives have. Because, you know what I mean? Because they're trying to break a case. They're trying to get their man, whoever they're trying to arrest. So they tend to use tactics that's not
on the up and up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Right.
But then that becomes a slippery slope. Now as I'm planting stuff, or now as I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And there has to be some level of integrity.
Because it shows up in your personal life. Because it becomes difficult to separate your career from who you are.
Exactly. Because I'm telling you, I go home, I'm not Dr. Nobody. I'm getting in this bed, I'm reading these books, and I'm chilling.
Yes, because you have to be mindful of that. You have to turn that therapist mind off.
Yes.
Just like any other career.
This is a career.
Right.
It is not the sum of who any of us are.
Right.
We're so multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we know the climax has got the climax, right? So, it's coming. Yeah. So, we learned that Angela does have the money that they've been looking for, you know, because she was trying to get away from Mendoza. And she said something that, you know, she's been on her own since she was 12 years old and nobody's never done nothing for her. And something that I thought about in that scene with her and Shane was, and I may be reading into it, but I thought that he potentially triggered like feelings of abandonment with her. So if she's been on her own since she was 12 and she was like, nobody's ever taken care of me. And then you're talking about leaving me to go save Peaches. Like,
which this is now your second time choosing something else over me, something or someone else over me.
Yeah. I think I can definitely appreciate Keenen Ivory Wayans, telling these stories about women and how much of a struggle it is to grow up in situations like this. Because I think around this time we were definitely getting a lot of stories of, you know, men struggling in different environments. So even though we didn't get to deep dive in anybody's story, really, I was appreciative to see Peach's story and her having to survive at 16 and trying to steal things. And then also you have Miss Wannabe Queen Pen, you know, who's been surviving since 12. And you know, life be a little different for the Latino and Latina side of the BIPOC, you know, be looking a little different.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, but it was just something that I was thinking about for her, you know, because she was teary and, you know, almost like I'm pleading with you to choose me this time, and he didn't.
Yeah, I was like, man, she tried. And I felt bad for her because it was like you were, all this time, Shane, you were saying that she left you. But no, she probably did because of what you were doing or not doing.
It also makes me wonder how much of that was her actually wanting him and how much of that was actually her not wanting him to be with Peaches. Now that part's going to be hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, even before that, when they were talking about certain things, she literally said, you wouldn't have been able to give me the things that I want.
Yeah, she did.
You know what I mean? And that she wanted to be number one. She wanted to be number one, and then she wanted to be taken care of financially. You know, and I understand where that comes from. It's definitely from a place of scarcity and poverty mentality, as well as victim mentality. And that is very difficult to overcome when you are living with a kingpin. Yeah. You know, you gonna be in a PTSD situation your whole relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, but but I think that doesn't mean that she didn't love him and want to be with him, because he could give her true love, like the kingpin giving you gangster stuff. Yeah, he is giving you like possibly real love or real relationship. You don't have to look over your shoulder type of life. Yeah, and that's comfortable, but then it's safe, but it's not exciting, and it's not, you know, like you said, you can't take care of me with this cop salary.
Right. And not the way she was dressing.
Right. No. And the perfume she was buying.
For that time, because even that dress, I was like, oh, that dress bad. Hold on. She was wearing, that one had the see-through mesh in it. When she went to Covenant. I was like, hold on, that dress bad for today.
Because the purse was $500 in the store. The purse. The perfume
was $5. Yes. Yeah, too. I was like, oh, Lord.
For $1994.
That's got to be what. I don't know what inflation then did. We're going to say it's at least $1,500.
Right. I'm like,
that's $500 in $1994. So that means, you know, it's an arm and a leg today. Yeah. And she's shopping in, you know, I'm assuming Rodeo Drive and that area. So, yeah. Girl, my bank account hurt.
So when I saw that money, it made mine hurt. I was like, oh.
So somebody
only a dream.
So my question for y'all would be, when do you think Shame realized that he loved Peaches?
I think Shame knew he loved Peaches in pieces. Okay. Because I think theirs developed. It's almost like Twilight. For all my Twilarks. When you think about Jacob and Renesmee. So, there's certain phases of the werewolf story where it's just like, I'm just here as somebody to protect you. Then I'm here as a big brother. Then I'm here as a friend. Then I'm here as romantic interest, and I'm here as a lover. And I think that's kind of how they developed because of the age gap, but also because she couldn't bring anything to the relationship. And then there was, up until probably midway in the movie, he couldn't bring anything to the relationship because he was emotionally damaged.
Yeah. I agree. I think his was a slow burn because even, like, I think the more he flirted with her, the more he started developing romantic feelings for her, because, like, the sexual harassment.
I was thinking about that too, because I said when he slapped her on the booty,
I said, let me find out. I said, this is not me, Nichelle.
I said, this is definitely not today's time, because you would be all up in somebody's lawsuit today.
But you know what? Yes, if he wasn't attractive, because she is attracted to him. So
yeah, that is true. People that they are attracted to get away with a lot more than when because if they find you unattractive, then you're creepy.
Yep.
So I will agree that women, in a stereotypical way, tend to do that.
Unless you're an introvert, then we find out people creepy.
But I definitely had thought about that. And when he had looked at her and was like, I wrote it down. The booty part?
Yeah. I see something else done grown. I said,
that part.
That was.
But they weren't at the office. They was at her house.
No.
But still.
But I do remember that she was like,
yeah, that was the line that I was like, everything else was like, but that one was like, oh.
Yeah, it was that slap on the butt for me.
Yes.
Especially because, sir, I hadn't even confessed my like for you. Based on when they was on the couch, she hadn't.
No, but she flirted.
Yeah.
Because she did say something back. She did got freaky something or something.
I like that freaky stuff. Which, okay, girl.
It is what it is.
I ain't mad at you. It is what it do. But of course, again, climax is going climax. So now Mendoza and Mendoza and Sonny try to get this scheme going where they're going to exchange the ladies because they've kidnapped Peaches, and this is when I think that Shame, like, the realization of who Peaches was and who she was to him, this is where I think it kind of started to settle in.
When he noticed that he was going to leave Angela to go save her.
But I think that's common. It's not until you're about to lose the good thing, and then you're like, let me go on and grab that.
Yeah, I agree.
And we also learned that Peaches is about that life. She was a good shot.
She had been telling him she about that life.
Yeah. She did all kind of things. Like her running around under them beds. They did say in the filming of this that they told her that it was going to be a fake gun. Okay? But they didn't tell her that it was going to make a sound. So when we see her jump up like that, that's her actual reaction. And then she was like, okay, I got to continue on with the scene. But I appreciate every piece of her fighting. Even though we knew it was water in real life, but she would have thrown like the oil and the popcorn on him. Like, I appreciate all of that.
Sliding through his legs.
Right. All that salt.
I was like, girl.
That sweated out her hair.
Yeah.
Lord. And then what cracked me up is her in that baby, that bassinet, that cream.
Girl, yes.
I was like, how in the world?
That's when you know you're tiny.
Yeah, how did you fit in there?
And him not, he was not paying attention.
He wasn't.
But the thing, I was thinking about when she was running from Sonny and she ran out of the door and jumped into Mendoza and was about to run from him and then jump back to Mendoza. I was like, the torment you must be going through to jump back to Mendoza.
He's like, oh, damn it. They caught me.
Yeah. The other piece in all of this, thinking about Angela and how she was going to try to use her feminine wiles to seduce Sonny. And I was like, oh, look at that toxic femininity.
Oh, God, I said the same thing. Yes.
Because this is one of the things that men talk about is that women are not held accountable to. That you're trying to use sex as a way to get out of something, to, get away from something. And, he was, at first, he was having it, but then he was like, no, it's okay. I'm good. And then you shoot the man. And then you mock him because he turned you down.
Because it was like, man, you really wasn't getting ready to give it to him. What are you talking about?
She might have. I mean, she did it with Shane. You know what I mean? Like, she know how to use her body for her good. You know what I mean? Like, and her body is beautiful. Like, I was like, come on, abs. Come on.
That part. I was like, how you ain't got no muscles?
Now, I will say that's the thing I miss about the 90s, because women was out here.
It was.
Yeah.
I was doing it. Get my jazzercise with the situation.
Some Jane Fonda videos.
Okay.
But, she, unalives Sonny, thankfully. And then, of course, we get like the last little bit where Mendoza and Shane are like really going at it, and they fighting, and it's looking like a mess, but
in slow motion.
In slow mo. Again, we appreciate the stunt coordinator and the choreographer, but
side note,
it's hard to get through.
Because I don't want us to skip over this, but when Wayman got fake shot.
Oh, get that. I was like, what are you doing? I could appreciate the boyfriend talking about some best actress. I'm like, yes.
And it was like this. I was like, we see you.
First of all, sir. Well, first of all, Wayman.
Yes.
You didn't see them holding guns.
What's going on over here?
Shine! Exactly.
No.
You didn't see the hostage in the arms. You didn't see none of that.
He was like, go ahead and smoke her. I don't care.
She didn't want to give me her number.
She want to give me her number.
And she might be a Scorpio. 6'9".
I was like, you're making it hard for the other Scorpio. And I was like, her phone number is 6969. Really?
And 555.
And she liked Chinese food.
And she liked Chinese food. I was like, y'all are doing the most. She was giving out all the details then.
Okay.
I would have been too.
But you didn't care though. You was like, no.
Now her dress was fire too.
It was.
I said, I got to get it together.
Yeah, her dress
I
was
want to
fire.
go back to wearing these types of outfits. Bodycon. Because it just be tight on your ribs and then it just shape everywhere else. Like, I'm going to have to get it back together.
Yeah, her dress was fire.
Yeah.
I even like the blue and yellow
that Peaches had on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was nice. And look, it would fit right back in today's time.
Okay.
That baggy, oversized style is back in.
Thank God.
So then, of course, Shane goes to arrest Mendoza because he finally beats him. But then Angela was like,
no, we're not letting this fool.
right? No.
Pound, which is wise. It's going to mess up them being able to get more information from him, but it is wise because that man is slippery.
Yeah, but now you going to prison.
Right. That's what I thought. So what was did you not think he was going to arrest you?
I mean,
Yeah,
she was going to kill him. Remember?
She did.
And
Yeah,
Peaches was like,
I told you I'd drop you.
Where you stand. I said, come on, Peaches.
and then you see when she had grabbed her hair and did like a suplex on her.
I was like, okay, I think you're doing it too hard. Because I was like, that was really Salli Richardson and that was really Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
She went hard on her
She did. I was like, did them tracks or something come out?
because she pulled that hair hard.
Hard, yes.
But that was funny.
You know that hurt because that hair is back combed. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Whew. So then, of course, everybody gets arrested, and now it's time for Peaches and Shame to like actually profess their love for one another. We also learn that he's going to keep $7 million. And I was like, well, why 7?
I know. Why you keep more? Because they didn't even know about the 20 million.
Yeah, like they didn't even know. You could have kept 10.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think he kept 5, didn't he?
Yeah,
15 million.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said 13. Okay.
I think he was saying out in percentages and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I took it too. I ain't going to lie.
Because they didn't know about it.
Especially in this economy.
I told y'all when I saw the Trump, my bank account started crying.
Okay. Look, so he keeps some of the money, and then they finally, profess their love for one another and give each other the smooches at the end. And that's the end of the movie because it's a pretty streamlined movie, which I do appreciate. Yeah, ain't a lot of twists and turns. It's pretty predictable. Still good, but it's predictable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do y'all want to go ahead and go into ratings, or do y'all want to introduce our new segment that we're going to be adding to MMB?
Yeah, let's go ahead and introduce the new segment.
So now we have a new segment that we will be introducing to MMB called Missed Diagnosis. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in this segment, it is going to be when we talk about things that were missed, that you blatantly may not have seen, or things that might actually be something that should have been added.
So things that I think should have been added were a little bit of backstory on the ladies, to kind of explain where they came from and how they ended up where they are. Definitely. I would also say a little bit of backstory for Shame, for the cop group. I think we got the bare minimum there. I think that would help understand the dynamic between him and Sonny and the disappointment that he felt, being betrayed by him.
I would say how Shane stole Angela from Mendoza and how that happened.
We just know it's a triangle. We don't know,
especially because that was his girlfriend and Mendoza's girlfriend, and y'all was looking for him and trying to kill him and arrest him or whatever. But why not Angela too? Because she was with him, so she had to have been in cahoots with something. Yeah, because she got the money.
I agree. I mean, y'all took mine as far as what was missing. I don't think there's anything else missing from that side.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think there are any diagnoses either that I think are not present in the film.
Outside of grief and some depression.
Yeah.
Depending on Angela and Peaches, if we got some more backstory, it could be some PTSD, possibly.
Potentially.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Definitely. And then also, if we had a little bit more information on our two main villains being Mendoza and Sonny, aka Ross Miller, there could definitely be a little narcissism up in there.
I see that from Mendoza, definitely.
Yeah. And I think with Sonny, you see more of the clinging to anybody they can cling to.
Desperation. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So it's a lot of identity related issues in him. There's a lot of not understanding you're good enough.
Yeah, I was thinking the sense of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Because, he had a whole fit when he was up there with Mendoza.
Yep.
And
Mendoza ate Peaches because he
just kind of went off the rails. So I can definitely see, if we're going to talk about schemas, a sense of inadequacy.
And I can say Peaches and Angela in different scenes had trauma reactions. Like Angela when Shane was getting ready to leave to go save Peaches, and then Peaches pick a scene.
She's very reactive.
Yes.
You know, everything is 0 to 100.
I agree. And I wouldn't say anything with Wayman. I felt like Wayman was the one character that was fully himself, which I was actually glad to see, because oftentimes the LGBTQIA person in the film has such a huge situation to overcome. Wayman was like, no, I got it, and y'all are messing up my life.
Yes. Yeah, I
So
can agree
I'm
with
good
that.
over here in the streets. Okay. So rating. I would say I would give this, I feel like this is a 3. I feel like it's a good middle road film.
Out of 5.
That's what I think we're doing out of 5. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were like, wait, what? I thought you were saying you were giving it a 5.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, tell me about it then.
Out of 5.
Out of 5. Yes, I'm sorry. I feel like it's a decent middle road. So I would say I'd give it a 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 5. This has been one of my all-time favorite movies since the 90s. So I absolutely love Peach's character. She's so just feisty, and I like that about her. But I think that's been one of the things that I've liked about Jada Pinkett. Even in A Different World, she was feisty and boisterous, you know. So I've always liked that about her, and just the comedy parts of it with Keenen or Shame. You know, I just, you know, it was funny to me. And it's still, I mean, even though some of the jokes didn't age, it was still kind of funny still. So, so yeah, that's why I gave it a 5.
I think I would give it probably a 4.5. I like movies like this. This is one of the reasons why even today I still watch like B films, because they still have like that vibe that we used to have like back in the 90s watching our movies. Even though this movie did, I want to say like 26.5 million. So it still did what it was supposed to do. And that's great for that time period. You know.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I enjoyed it.
Yep. I enjoyed it again.
Okie dokie. Well, we don't end off with quotes on the movies. So.
No, but don't forget that next week we will be live.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because we are doing a Disbroad, and it is also a celebration of Dr. Shankland.
I wish we had one of those bing, 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 bing bells.
I got my sick bells.
Oh,
We will be bring those. So we'll be celebrating. Everybody wear your blue and be prepared for all the things that we are going to talk about.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.